Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that I have made a grave mistake in my last video, and today I'm going to reconcile it. I'm such an idiot. So in my recent video, I did a deep dive into Native Instruments' most recent installment into their scene series called Bloodplant. This like sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, dystopian cinematic scoring instrument, and I really have fallen in love with this instrument, and it's one of my favorite scene series that they've ever put out. And I thought that I covered most of everything, but one person in particular left a comment, and then a few more came in, and one of those comments was actually the creator of Bloodplant, and everybody that said something about what I missed has a good point. Now, what they pointed out was that I neglected to really showcase the XY pad, which is definitely a significant portion of the evolutionary change in dynamics that you can implement with these scene instruments. My argument was that these instruments are more marketed to people who just kind of want to open it up, pick a preset, and play and go, and have a really cool atmosphere or pad or something just like right out the gate. They're not wanting to do a bunch of automation or anything like that. But that's my mistake. I should show you guys the entirety of what these plugins and these instruments can do, and especially since the creator himself was kind enough to point that out, I felt that it was my duty and my due diligence to you guys to jump back into this and showcase to you just what this can do utilizing that XY pad. So I will go on record and say that I do typically automate the XY pad whenever I'm using a scene plugin for whether I'm writing an ambient piece for like Doomsphere, or if I'm underwriting another piece of music that I'm working on. I will automate it just to give the sound a dynamic change, so it's just not the same static sound 24/7. But that's just not something that I think about on the front end when trying to showcase these instruments to you guys. But nevertheless, I'm here to save the day and correct my mistake. So let's kind of jump into Scene Bloodplant again and utilize that XY pad and just see what other things it can offer from the original video. So here we are. I'll just load up a random atmosphere because that's kind of one of my favorite sections to kind of get things going, and we'll kind of screw around with this XY pad. Now, I'm using my little jog wheel here on my MPK Mini, and it's not the greatest for these XY pad stuff. Like, it can be kind of tricky and finicky, but it does do its job for the most part. I wish I had an actual touchpad of some kind, like a actual like capacitive touch type of thing. But for now, I just got to work with this wheel. So yeah, let's just kind of see what this has to offer. So this is Artificial Tears. So as you can hear, the sound changes because I've explained this again before in the earlier scene instruments that I've covered. The XY pad is a really simple thing. On the X-axis going left and right, you are transitioning in different ways between the two sound samples here. On the left, for this particular preset, you have something called Technoid, and that's kind of the sound. All the way on the right, you've got Datasphere, and it's that sound. So when you go from left to right, you're kind of blending between the two. And it gets weird if you try to drag with a mouse. The XY pad, I'm not sure what that's about, but it just transitions between the two sample sets, right? And again, you can pick from a bunch of different samples in the plugin itself. But you can also switch between X-Fade and Stack, and it explains it right here. So if you do X-Fade, it crossfades between sound A and sound B, and if you stack, it stacks up from A to B, so it adds them together. So if we do X-Fade, like I just said, when we go from left to right, it transitions between the two sounds, right? Dead center is like the combination of both. If you do stack, it's going to start off with A, and the further to the right you go, the more of B it's going to add on top of A. Instead of transitioning from A to B, it's going to combine them. Right? So that's really different ways that you can do things with these samples. And then when you go up and down, that messes with your parameters, with your macros down here at the bottom. So you'll see like your ADSR stuff down here and mask and different effects like the tape. You've also got these special effects over here that you can pick between that do various different things to your sound. And there's reverb, delay, degradation, and distortion and stuff, modulation, all sorts of stuff. You got a lot of different things that you can use to kind of change and mangle the sound. But what you also can do down here is not only just setting like the amount of what you want to adjust for that parameter, you can also adjust, you see this red bar here, and that is kind of the range of what will change when you use the the Y axis on the XY pad going up and down. So you'll see things, watch the red lines at the bottom, you'll see the little cursor as I move the XY pad up, right along those red lines on those parameters. And so you can go down to these macros and you can adjust the range that you want that parameter to adjust as you move the axis up and down. And there's a lot of different stuff that you can do with these. There's settings all throughout every single one of these. And again, I don't go into too much detail the further I went into these scene installments because I went over them a bunch of times in the early ones. So I got a little bit like redundant, I guess. I was like, just go watch the other ones. But I should state this in every single video, to be honest. I'm just me being lazy, I guess. But that has a significant effect on your sound and what you can do to change it. So, right? Just going up and down. Well, you can't see. So it goes down, back up. That adjusts the sound. Well, now we want to move the sample to add more data sphere. Right? So that allows your sound to kind of evolve over time. And I got to adjust this. I don't know why. You could pick defaults in Contact between everything being set at -6 or 0. And I don't understand. Like, it gets annoying sometimes because not all plugins are the same across the board. And that irritates me sometimes. But sometimes you get them peaking some instruments and stuff. Like that just was. But now you can really kind of evolve your sound. And what I typically do is when I'm making an ambient underwriting or underscore, or just the straight up ambient track for something like Doomsphere, I will automate this XY pad to do different things. You can do different patterns of just like having to go up and down all the time, left and right all the time, do circles, do all sorts of things to make your sound evolve over time and keep things interesting and change the speed and the rate at which it does that and whatever. The thing that I wish these scene plugins would implement is a way to record that automation within the plugin. Like Heaviosity, for example, you know, I love their plugins with like Oblivion, that specifically, and their punish knob and all that. Like, you can automate the changing of their version of an XY pad within the plugin. So you can push a button that says record, and you'll do your little automation with your mouse or your jog wheel or touchpad or whatever, and stop the recording on it. And it'll do it for maybe 4 bars or 8 bars or whatever. So maybe it'll automatically cut off for you, but then it'll just repeat that same pattern or whatever you drew, whatever you did with that XY pad, and keep that on rotation. So you don't have to sit here and do it yourself the entire time. You can just record it, have it loop that, and just run it. And then you can add LFO automation on top of that and help that keep things going too, which there's not really a lot of LFO stuff in this. I wish there was. But it's just different ways to make your sound change and evolve over time. So now let's go to a different sound. I kind of want to dive more into see what some of these sounds have to offer. I'm doing a lot of talking, but I just want to kind of give you info on the XY pad at the same time. A little low. There we go. So as you can tell, things just start to shift and move around. So you're not just sitting on one sound that already has some motion and evolution to it, but now you're just adding even more. So that, I really like that. And there was one in particular that had some guitar stuff on it, and I think it's this, where it's got this feedback section, which I really like how the XY pad affects this. The feedback thing is really cool because it's not just like a sample of a sound thing. It's this real, as a guitar player, feels like a very interactive thing going on, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's really, really cool. So I can pull in more feedback. And you can see how that adds a lot more life to the sound, and it allows things to just like develop more emotion and more just life, I guess is the best word to do it. It just brings things another level higher. This is one of my favorite presets in the entire plugin. Oh. Yeah, I like this already without doing anything. I didn't hear this one yet. Oh, I really like this one. Sounds like the moment someone discovers the body, or that the person they knew this whole time was actually the killer, and they've got the body chopped up in the freezer, you know? Like someone's like wide-eyed, you got like a snorri cam on pointing at their face when they're walking down a hall, realizing what's going on, trying to process the dark reality. That is another really, really cool preset I like right there. That is insanely cool. What changes on this? Oh. Okay, regardless, I really like that piano was a part of this plugin as one of the sample sounds. Kind of fat fingered it there for a second. That was a vibe right there. Waiting for a sound. Oh, it's just such good stuff. This plugin grows on me every single day because I've been just honestly playing with it every day since I downloaded it and I made the video and stuff. Seriously, I still don't think it tops Lotus in my world. I really like Lotus, but I also really like Bloodplant. Ooh. I like that one even more now. That's yep. Lost data. overclocked. Yes. Okay. So that hopefully makes up for my grave mistake of not going over the XY patch just even a little bit. It was an oversight on my end, I will admit. However, I still stand by what I said. I think a lot of people who come into these plugins specifically, a lot of times just kind of want to click a preset and go. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but with any plugin, once you get into XY pads and LFOs and automation of any kind with any of the parameters, you start to really unlock the potential of those plugins in doing different things that make what you do more interesting and evolve even more over time through the span of your song, your music, your ambient, whatever. It just does everything to help make it more interesting. So it's good to know. I just try to get things as simple as possible and try not to go into the weeds too much. But again, I should go over this type of stuff. So to Toby Pittman, first of all, kudos. Love the plugin a lot. Like, it's number 1B for me, right next to Lotus. They're tied. This is just slightly below. I love this plugin a lot. I really like the sounds. I really like the guitar stuff in it. I like the feedback. I just love that. I'm biased. I'm a guitar player. And I also love that piano is a part of this. And it really is, in my mind, my preferable sound for when I want to go for an ambient type of thing. This is typically the stuff that I gravitate towards making. It's that sci-fi Blade Runner type of post-apocalyptic dystopian world thing. It does its job very, very well. So kudos to you on that. My apologies for missing some of this with the XY pad on the first time around, but hopefully this made up for it. And hopefully for the rest of you, this gave you a little more insight onto what this plugin can do, and all the other scene plugins, because they also have XY pads. And I don't remember if I really implemented those very much in those videos or not. So if I didn't, oops. But if I did, I think I did a little bit somewhere. But again, my mistake. Hopefully this makes up for it a little bit. Again, 9 out of 10. I love this plugin to death. And hopefully forgive me. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helps. And I will see you guys in the next video. Stay metal, my friends. And don't forget to subscribe, because I did this.